This story is titled, I took care of my sick mother for 7 years while my siblings traveled the world. The day after her funeral, they sent me a group text. So when can we sell the house and split the inheritance? I replied with one sentence. Now they're suing me and losing badly. I knew I was going to snap when my brother Jake sent that group text less than 24 hours after we buried our mother. Not even a "how are you holding up?" or "thank you for everything." Just, "so when can we sell the house and split the inheritance?" I replied with one sentence. Now they're suing me and losing hard. Let me back up and introduce this circus. There's me, Caleb, 35M, unpaid full-time caregiver, professional burner of resentment candles. Then there's Jake, 38M, who's basically a LinkedIn post in human form. Vanessa, 33F, wannabe influencer who thinks spiritual healing means microdosing mushrooms in Costa Rica. And finally, Darren, 40M, our oldest sibling, who communicates exclusively in passive-aggressive Facebook comments and thinks replying to emails counts as doing his part. 7 years ago, when Mom had her first fall and the early signs of dementia were clear, we had the family meeting. You know the one. Lots of concerned head nodding, hugs that meant nothing, and promises like, "We'll all help however we can." The next morning, Darren was back in Florida posting beach selfies. Vanessa booked a yoga retreat in Sedona and went off-grid. Jake, bless him, sent a Grubhub gift card and said, "Use this when you need a break." I stayed. I moved back into Mom's house, quit my job, and went from son to nurse, chef, maid, emotional punching bag, and human calendar. Dementia doesn't get better. It just gets meaner and more expensive. I fed her, bathed her, fought with insurance reps, learned what Medicare doesn't cover, spoiler, everything useful, and watched the woman who raised us forget how to use a fork. They sent postcards from Greece. No, I'm not exaggerating. One had a picture of them smiling on a boat with a handwritten note. "Hope you're getting some sunshine too," smiley face. That postcard came the same week I had to physically stop Mom from putting a shoe in the microwave. I used my savings, sold my car, picked up freelance IT gigs at 2 a.m. when she finally slept. Darren sent thoughts and prayers. Jake posted memes about grinding for the life you want. Vanessa once emailed me a Goop article titled Caregiver Fatigue and How to Breathe Through It. We made it 7 years. She passed away peacefully in the home she loved, which, if I'm being honest, only happened because I refused to let her rot away in some underfunded warehouse of forgotten people. And then, the group text. Jake, "So when can we sell the house and split the inheritance?" I stared at that message for a long time. Then I replied with one sentence. There is no inheritance. I own the house. The moment I hit send, there is no inheritance. I own the house. I knew I had just lit the family fuse. Vanessa was first. She replied, all caps, classic meltdown. "What are you talking about? You own the house." Like she suddenly forgot how deeds work. Then Jake chimed in, suddenly very legal sounding for a guy who once asked if a notary was the same thing as a note-taker. That's not possible. Mom said the house would be split equally. Sure, she said that. 7 years ago. Before the hallucinations. Before the diapers. Before I was blending protein shakes at 3 a.m. and crying in the pantry while they were sipping Aperol spritzes in Santorini. What they didn't know was that 2 years ago, after a particularly bad hospital scare, Mom sat me down and said, "I don't want them to fight you for this. You've done everything. I want this house to be yours." I didn't believe her at first. Figured it was just the pain meds talking. But the next morning, she had already called her lawyer. Had the paperwork drawn up and everything. Put the house in a living trust. My name only. She even paid for the notary to come to the house. Vanessa was in Tulum doing a chakra cleanse. Jake was busy networking at a crypto conference, LOL. Darren sent a text that said, "Hope things are okay. Let me know if you need anything." Which, as we all know, means don't let this be my problem. So yeah, I own the house. Every cracked tile, every creaky floorboard, every sun-faded picture of us as kids on the wall that they haven't looked at in years. Mine. When I told them that Mom had changed her will, Darren actually called me. First time in 4 years. Didn't even say hi, just jumped right into, "You manipulated her. She was vulnerable. You stole from us." Oh, I stole? Funny. I don't remember anyone else hauling her down the stairs during fire drills when the dementia made her forget how doors worked. I don't recall anyone else paying the property taxes out of their own savings. Nobody seemed eager to share the burden when she stopped recognizing the toilet and started using the laundry hamper instead. They kept pushing, demanding copies of the will, threatening to get their lawyers involved, like they had a spare one lying around next to their yoga mats and Patagonia backpacks. So I sent them the PDF. The notarized, legally airtight, 2-year-old document clearly stating, upon my death, the house and all its contents go to Caleb. No exceptions. Signed, witnessed, sealed. Silence. Then Jake called again. We can work something out. Maybe we can buy you out. Buddy, you'd need 6 lifetimes and a time machine to afford that buyout. And even then, no. I earned this house with every sleepless night and every adult diaper change. You don't get to Venmo your way into ownership now. Vanessa, of course, posted something passive-aggressive on Instagram. Some people only show love when it benefits them. #FakeFamily #betrayal. Girl, you ghosted your own mother's 78th birthday because your ayahuasca retreat had bad Wi-Fi. The next message came from Darren. Short and dramatic. You'll be hearing from our attorney. I laughed so hard I nearly choked on my leftover soup. And that's when things got legal. You know that moment in a movie where the villain smirks and says, "You'll be hearing from my attorney," and the hero just calmly sips their drink? That was me. Except I wasn't sipping anything. I was eating leftover meatloaf in my bathrobe while watching reruns of Judge Judy, which felt cosmically appropriate. 3 days after the group text imploded, I got the email. A scanned letter on a suspiciously generic-looking letterhead from a firm I'd never heard of. Apparently, the siblings, yes, that's how they signed it, like a failed band name, were formally demanding a share of the estate, citing undue influence, mental incapacity, and my personal favorite, breach of familial trust. Undue influence? You mean like changing her adult diapers while you were backpacking through Bali? Mental incapacity? Oh, you mean the mental decline you all ignored because it was inconvenient to your brunch plans? I forwarded the email to my lawyer, Sam, who's been practicing elder law for 20 years and has the exact energy of a man who's buried 3 ex-wives and doesn't flinch at anything. Sam called me 5 minutes later. They're gonna lose, he said, blunt as hell. But it'll be fun watching them try. Sam pulled up the trust documents. Everything was notarized, witnessed, clean, dated back to when Mom was still sharp enough to do her own taxes by hand and shame me for using TurboTax. She even included a clause, God bless her scorched earth foresight, explicitly stating that the trust was in lieu of a will and that no other parties were to inherit the property. In caps, underlined, with a damn smiley face in the margins. It was like she knew this was coming. Meanwhile, Vanessa was busy posting vague betrayal in the family memes with pictures of wolves. Jake started emailing me spreadsheets, like he was going to out-excel me into guilt. Darren went full boomer and started leaving voicemails I didn't listen to. The funniest part? Not a single one of them asked how I was doing. Not once. I buried our mother alone, planned her funeral, handled her hospice paperwork, sorted through her things, alone. They show up a day late, toss out the word inheritance, and act like I'm the villain because I didn't leave a key under the mat and a check on the table. Their attorney eventually tried to arrange mediation. Sam and I showed up. They didn't. Apparently, Jake had a flight to an important conference, probably a startup pyramid scheme. Vanessa was spiritually misaligned that week, and Darren sent a vague text about not wanting to escalate things. Buddy, you escalated this the moment you tried to sell the house I live in before the body was cold. That night, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat in Mom's recliner, the one I used to pull up next to her bed when she got too scared to sleep alone. And I thought, this is mine now. All of it. Not because I stole it, but because I stayed. They sued anyway. Of course they did. You ever walk into a courtroom with zero doubt that you're going to win? I hadn't, until this. That morning I put on the one decent suit I own, polished my shoes, and walked in holding a folder so full of receipts it could have been used to slap a hole in drywall. Sam, my lawyer/human lie detector, was already inside, sipping gas station coffee and smirking like he was about to watch a local theater production of Clueless, the legal edition. My siblings? Well, Jake and Vanessa showed up late. Vanessa had on some absurd, oversized sunglasses like she was walking into a press conference, not probate court. Jake wore a blazer over a Nirvana shirt and tried to shake the judge's hand. Darren wasn't even there. Said he couldn't get time off work, which is rich considering he spent the last month sending me passive-aggressive emails and Comic Sans. The judge didn't smile. Not once. She looked like someone who's seen 400 too many family inheritance cases and wasn't in the mood for adult children whining about who deserved grandma's casserole dish. Jake's lawyer, some kid who looked like he still had acne from the bar exam, stood up and tried to paint me as manipulative, claimed I took advantage of our mother's declining state, that I alienated the family, that the trust was signed suspiciously close to her passing. Sam stood up, didn't even look at his notes. Just said, "Your Honor, the trust was signed 2 years before her death, while she was still of sound mind. We have medical records, video evidence, and a psychiatric evaluation to confirm. The plaintiff's claims are entirely speculative." Then, and this is where I almost high-fived him, Sam slid a USB across the table. Exhibit B is a home video, taken by the decedent herself. In it, she explains why she created the trust, who she was leaving the house to, and her very candid feelings about her other children. The judge raised an eyebrow and asked to see it. So they played it. Right there in the courtroom. Mom appeared on the screen, sitting in her recliner with her hair pinned back the way she liked when she meant business. She looked straight at the camera and said, "This is for after I'm gone. Caleb gets the house. He's the only one who stayed. The rest of you can keep your plane tickets and your excuses." Then she laughed, God, that sharp, wheezy laugh, and added, "If they try to fight it, tell them I said tough shit." I looked over. Vanessa was frozen. Jake's face had that pale, sickly shade people get when a con falls apart mid-grift. The judge didn't say much. Just looked over her glasses and said, "It's clear the decedent's intent was unambiguous. The trust stands." Boom. No arguments. No appeals. Just the cold, legal slap of reality. Outside the courtroom, Vanessa had the audacity to hiss at me, "You're tearing this family apart." I smiled and said, "Nah. I just stopped taping it back together." So court was done. Case closed. The house was officially mine. You'd think that would be the end of it. You sweet, naive summer child. Exactly 43 minutes after we left the courthouse, I got a new group text. Same thread where they once coordinated Christmas gift cards without actually seeing Mom. Same thread where Jake asked, "Is dementia genetic or just, like, diet-related?" Back in 2019. "Vanessa, look, we're obviously all emotional. Let's not let money ruin our bond. We can still be a family." Jake chimed in next. "Maybe we just need to talk things out. Face to face. Like brothers and sister." "Oh, now I'm your brother?" For 7 years I was the ghost. The butler. The guy you forgot to tag in group birthday messages because we assumed you were busy with mom stuff. Now that I've got the deed to the only asset worth a damn, I'm suddenly blood again? Pass. I didn't reply. I just left the group chat. Best feeling of my life. Felt like exhaling a lungful of toxic smoke I'd been holding in since 2016. That night, Vanessa DM'd me on Instagram. The same platform where she once posted a story from Thailand with the caption, "Wishing mom peace and light from across the sea," like that made up for the fact that she hadn't seen her in person in 2 years. Her message read, "Hey, I've been reflecting. I realize now how much you sacrificed. I want to apologize." I almost believed her. Until I clicked on her profile and saw the new reel she just posted. Movie camera, a slow pan of candles, a soft piano track, her voice whispering, "Sometimes you lose everything to learn who people really are." Cut to a selfie of her crying. Caption, "Family betrayal hits different. Hashtag healing, hashtag forgiveness, hashtag empath problems." She was using me for engagement. I screenshotted it, blocked her, and laughed so hard I snorted wine through my nose. A few days later, Jake emailed me. Actual email, with bullet points. Like this was a quarterly business update. Subject line, "Next steps for family reconciliation." Included. A proposal for renting the house from me at a discounted sibling rate. A suggestion to host healing dinners in Mom's honor, but at my place, obviously. And my favorite, "Since you're keeping the house, maybe Vanessa and I could handle the estate sale and split any revenue. That seems fair. Sure. Let's have the people who didn't visit her for years sell off her antique china and keepsakes like it's a garage sale for guilt." I didn't respond. Instead, I walked into Mom's room, still untouched since she passed, and opened the cedar chest at the foot of her bed. Inside, wrapped in tissue paper, was the one thing none of them asked about. Her journals. 7 years worth. She wrote in them every night. I knew because I used to hear the soft scratch of her pen through the baby monitor after I helped her into bed. I've been reading them. Slowly. A few pages a night. It's not all flattering. She definitely called me grumpy and hopeless in the kitchen. But over and over again, she wrote about one thing: gratitude. That she wasn't alone. That someone still saw her as more than a burden. That someone stayed. And in the last entry, dated 3 days before she passed, she wrote, "I hope Caleb knows the house isn't payment. It's a thank you. He gave me dignity when everyone else gave me distance. That house has always been his. I'm just finally making it official." I hadn't heard a single word from Darren since the court ruling. No texts, no emails, no cryptic boomer memes about family values. Just radio silence, which, honestly, was the most Darren thing he could have done. Pretend nothing happened until he gets another opportunity to manipulate the narrative. That opportunity came on a Sunday. I was in the middle of replacing the leaky faucet in the downstairs bathroom, the one Mom refused to let me fix for years because the drip has personality, when I heard a knock. Not the kind of knock you use when you're unsure if you're welcome. No, this was entitled Knuckle Confidence. I opened the door, wrench still in hand, to find Darren on my porch wearing his classic "I'm just here to talk" expression. You know the one: tight-lipped smile, sympathetic eyebrows, fake concern dialed up to 11. "Caleb," he started, "I figured it was time we made peace." I didn't say a word, just stared at him until he realized I wasn't going to fill in the silence. He held up a bakery box. "I brought Mom's favorite lemon cake. From that place on 3rd Street. Remember?" Yeah, I remembered. I also remembered him skipping Mom's last 3 birthdays because flights were too expensive, even though his Instagram showed him skiing in Aspen the week before one of them. "I think we should go through her things together," he continued, glancing toward the living room. "You know, so it's not just on you. I want to help honor her memory." Translation: I think there's something valuable in this house, and I want my cut now that legal options failed. Against my better judgment, and partly because I was curious how far he'd take the act, I let him in. He immediately started sniffing around the place like a real estate agent with a drug problem, commenting on furniture, asking casual questions like, did she ever hide jewelry in weird places, and where did she keep the key to the safe? There's no safe. But I didn't correct him. Eventually, he ended up in the attic, uninvited, of course, digging through boxes while I stood by the hatch watching him like a parent at a toddler's birthday party, just waiting for the meltdown. And then, like a cursed movie trope, he found it. A box tucked behind an old sewing machine, labeled in Mom's handwriting, for Caleb. "Do not open until I'm gone." Darren reached for it. I didn't even think. I climbed up, grabbed his wrist, and said, "That has my name on it." He smirked. "Come on. We're all grieving. Don't be possessive." That's when I snapped. 7 years of wiping our mother's drool while they were wiping margarita salt off the rims of their glasses. 7 years of being forgotten until there was something to take. 7 years of silence, and now he thinks he gets to touch the one thing she left with my name on it? I shoved him back. He stumbled into a stack of boxes, cursed, then lunged at me like we were kids again. Only this time, I wasn't a scrawny teenager. This time, I landed the punch. He left with a bloody nose and half a lemon cake trailing down his sweater. Once he was gone, I sat on the attic floor with the box in front of me, hands shaking. It felt like the last unopened chapter of her life. Inside, a stack of letters, one for each of us. Mine was on top. It simply read, "Caleb, if you're reading this, then your siblings have probably come sniffing around. Don't give them anything, but give them this truth. They left me. You didn't. And that's the only thing that matters now. P.S. The emerald earrings they all keep asking about? Pawned them in 2019 to pay for your dentist appointment. You're welcome." I laughed so hard I cried. It's weird how silence feels heavier after chaos. After the court dates, the threats, the fake apologies, and the attic boxing match, the house suddenly felt hollow. Just me, a creaky old place filled with ghosts, and a lemon cake I was too pissed to eat. That's when Vanessa showed up. Not a call, not a text. Just knocked on the door like we were still siblings, like she hadn't tried to sue the grief right out of me. I opened the door half expecting another performance, maybe a new GoFundMe pitch or a request to borrow something for her Etsy crystal business. But she looked different. Not put together. No phoboho dress or strategically messy braid. Just sweatpants, puffy eyes, and the kind of guilt that finally makes it past filters and curated captions. "I know I'm the last person you want to see," she said, voice small. But I needed to say this in person. I should have slammed the door. Instead, I stepped outside and sat on the porch. Didn't invite her in. Didn't have to. She stood awkwardly, fidgeting like she was 12 again and about to confess to breaking Mom's favorite mug. Except this time, the broken thing was me. I read Mom's journals, I said after a minute of silence. She wrote about how you called once, said you couldn't visit because of energetic alignment issues. You told her hospice made your aura feel claustrophobic. She winced. I know. I was selfish. You were absent. She nodded. Yeah, that too. For a moment, she didn't say anything. Just stood there, staring at the rosebushes Mom planted the year we moved in. Then she pulled something out of her bag. A photo. It was us. The four of us. Back when we were kids, before life and death and adult disappointment. We were in front of this very house, covered in popsicle stains and dirt, smiling like idiots with no idea what was coming. I found it in my stuff, she said. I thought maybe you'd want it. Or maybe you'd burn it. I don't know. I took it, not because I wanted it, but because it felt like something Mom would have kept anyway. Vanessa sat on the step beside me without asking. Brave, stupid, or both. I should have been there, she whispered. I know that. I know I left you to do everything, and I don't get to take that back just because I feel guilty now. I looked at her then. Really looked. And yeah, maybe some of it was genuine. But the thing about grief is, once it hardens into resentment, sincerity feels like a Band-Aid on a broken rib. You're not getting the house, I said flatly. She let out a humorless laugh. I figured. Or the jewelry. Or Mom's journals. Or some surprise forgiveness speech where I cry and we hug and everything's magically fixed. I didn't come for that. Then why did you come? She looked at me, and for the first time in years, she didn't seem like the curated version of herself. No filters. No hashtags. Just tired. I came because I wanted to see where she died, and who she became, and what I missed. I know I can't fix it, but I had to face it. We sat there for a long time. Eventually, she stood. I won't bother you again. I promise. I nodded. She walked down the steps and paused, one hand on the gate. She really loved you, you know. I know, I said. She told me. Every day. Until the end. After Vanessa left, I sat there on the porch until the sun dipped behind the trees and the air turned sharp. I didn't move. Didn't speak. Just held that old photo in my hand like it might collapse if I looked away. I didn't cry. Not because I didn't want to, but because the tears dried up somewhere between Mom's last breath and Jake's group text asking when we could liquidate the asset. It's funny. They thought the house was the prize, the payout, the trophy, but they never saw what it really was: a mausoleum, a haunted scrapbook, a monument to 7 years of sacrifice, exhaustion, and choosing to stay when no one else did. The house didn't belong to them because they didn't earn it. They didn't bleed in it. So I kept it. I cleaned it, top to bottom. Painted the kitchen the soft yellow Mom always said reminded her of her grandmother's house. Repaired the cracked porch step she kept tripping over. Even planted new rosebushes out front. Bright ones. Loud ones. Ones that looked like they're screaming color at the world. Then I did something that felt strange. I packed up most of her stuff. Carefully. With respect. Box by box. Labeled everything, then donated most of it to a hospice charity that helped us when insurance gave up. I kept a few things: the journals, the old sewing machine, the chipped coffee mug with #1 Mom and faded red lettering. But the rest? Let it go. Because I didn't need the house to feel like her anymore. She wasn't in the furniture or the wallpaper. She was in me. And that had to be enough now. Jake tried one last time to call. Left a voicemail that started with, "Hey man, I've been thinking," and ended with some half-baked offer to put the past behind us if I considered unlocking the family trust and doing what's fair. I didn't call back. I didn't rage. I didn't even say the message. I just deleted it, swept the porch, and went inside. It's been 6 months. The lawsuit stopped. Turns out you can't win a court case with vibes and entitlement. Darren never showed his face again. Vanessa sent a Christmas card. I didn't open it. Jake got engaged to someone half his age and posted about it with the caption "New Beginnings." Family isn't always blood. I laughed harder than I should have. As for me, I got a job again. Something remote. Something quiet. I sleep in now. I leave dishes in the sink sometimes. I eat cereal for dinner if I want to. The house is still old, still creaky, still filled with echoes. But it's mine. The silence doesn't hurt anymore. It feels earned. I stood in Mom's room last night, now converted into a small reading nook, and whispered the only prayer I still believe in. Thank you for letting me be the one who stayed. That's the whole story. No bell. No happy family reunion. Just peace. And sometimes, that's the best revenge of all.